What's happening, guys? Happy Thursday and welcome to the Fabulous Big Bet. My name is Memphis. You can follow the show at DWZ Memphis, and you can follow, the show at Dynasty Warzone. But with me, again, I can't say as always, but with me this time is my co host. He is the affable Dr. Kyle at DWZ underscore Dr. PT. Dr. Kyle, welcome back to your podcast.
Happy to be here. Happy to be in my not really dining room. I'm sitting at a dining room table that's just crammed between my living room and kitchen here in New York City. But good to be back. Good to be back on the pod. Good to be back, like not crazy busy and talking football.
You know what? I'm excited to have you back. I mean, as small as your New York Hell's Kitchen apartment is, I could see why you'd want to get out and travel and actually stay like in a Holiday Inn Express. Get a little get a little extra room for you and the missus, maybe the dogs,
Like
because
continental breakfast.
that continental you can't beat a good continental breakfast when you're on the road. You were out on the western half of the U.S., a little snowboarding, a little gambling,
A little
having a good
bit.
old time,
Made the
and
trip to Circa.
I tell you, man, yeah. Tell us a little bit about your trip to Viva Lost Wages.
I mean, that's what it was. It was not a positive EV trip.
Well,
Wasn't a
you
positive money
couldn't have
trip,
been
but
betting my picks then, because I've been on fire.
no, I wasn't. I bet mine. Actually,
Well,
I didn't even bet the ones that I gave the pod last week. I bet well, it doesn't matter. But it was great. It was nothing crazy lost. Great experience. Got to see Circa is amazing. Just the setup they have there with like they just have like rows of chairs and then like 100 giant screens taking up a wall over the where you go up to bet and
the
yeah,
window,
the window.
the
Yeah, thank you.
window. Yes, that's called the
The
window. A window into your soul, a window into our my life as your co-host of this podcast. So we'll
yes.
jump into the bets. We'll jump into our recap in just a second, but you gotta follow us on YouTube. Been absolutely red hot with our picks. We're going to talk about that in just a second. Last week on bets alone, we were 7-3. On props last week, I was 9-1. So we are rocking it big time for you. All that we ask in return is to maybe consider supporting our sponsors, which are betus.com. That's for all your gambling needs. Just go to betus.com. You use promo code Memphis upon signing up, and boom, you get a deposit bonus and you help the show or our athletic apparel sponsor, Hate Brand Goods. I'm actually wearing a Hate Brand Goods t-shirt right now if you're watching live on YouTube, as well as my premium joggers. I went to baseball practice tonight. You got to have you got to be working in comfort, Dr. Kyle.
Athleisure is the way of the world.
I'm telling you, when you find a job that you can wear sweatpants to, you're living the good life. So, but then on Football Sunday School, which I co-host with my buddy Jesse, we uh, we were 9-0 on Sunday. We had a 5-team parlay, a lot
Wow.
going on. Went 4-0 Sunday night and Monday night. Only bet the one game, bet the Bears game on Monday night. Hit two Darnell Mooney props, hit a Cole Kmet prop, hit a Mike Evans prop, hit a 5-teamer on Sunday, just in fuego. Dr. Kyle, where were you at on that 5-teamer action?
I got I need New York to just let me just do everything from my phone, and it's not a thing, so I'm missing out.
That's why we have betus.com, and you use promo code Memphis and you're in action. So thank you for supporting us. Thank you for supporting the show. Again, if you're already in a state with legalized gaming, maybe you're not interested in an extra out. Can't figure out why, but that's okay. Just head over to YouTube, subscribe, and that's a great way to support the show as well as leaving reviews. So speaking of reviews, let's review last week's action, Dr. Kyle. How about that for a segue?
Well, let's review it because it
Let,
was a
let,
good week too.
let me just get my Thursday night prop of the week out of the way. Kind of a bad beat. So Clyde Edwards-Helaire had a receiving prop, receptions, over 2.5. First of all, he had two in the first half. So I'm like, okay, I just need one more. One included that absolutely horrible duck that Patrick Mahomes threw right at his shoes. Another one got batted up and I believe intercepted. And then he eventually catches a 2-point conversion, but that does not count as a reception, even though he caught the ball. So a bit of a bad beat last week on my prop, my only losing prop, 9-1 last week. But I'll take that, Dr. Kyle. Been on fire.
That's
Speaking
a
of
heater.
fire, that is, you never walk away from the table on a heater. Speaking of a
No.
heater, you're on your third winning week in a row. How
I
about
think we
that?
both are, aren't we?
I'm on 4 winning weeks in a row.
Yeah.
Don't ever sell me short again. But
We're not worthy. We're not worthy.
let's start with your big bet. Last week, your big bet was Cincinnati straight up. You took the points. Cincinnati won outright. So
Yep.
good win for you there. That took you to big bets on the season. It took you to 9-6. How about that?
Look at the big brain on Dr. Kyle.
Check that out. You had New Orleans plus 11. They won outright. 20-point
Seriously.
swing. You did have the over in the Detroit and Arizona game. I got to say, Detroit did their part.
And that
They
was so
they
that
let
was
you
my,
down.
yeah, I wasn't on the pod last week, obviously, and I was like, I just felt like Detroit was going to show up, and I wasn't too concerned with Arizona scoring. I mean, it wasn't far off. What were they, five or 6 points short of that?
It was 30-11, I believe.
12, I think.
Yeah, okay. So, but you were about a touchdown away from getting there.
Yeah.
But let me ask you a question. How
Go
much
ahead.
how much would you have bet if I just told you, here's all the information I can give you. So the total on this game is 47.5, and Detroit's going to score 30. I mean, you're unloading the wallet. I mean, it's a sure thing.
Mhm.
And just kind of a bad beat. So that was one of your 2 losses. You had Pittsburgh.
Yeah.
Plus the 1, you got it early because that line shifted to a pick, and then eventually Pittsburgh laid 1. Doesn't
Yep.
matter. If you had Pittsburgh with Dr. Kyle, you got there, you got the money, and then you missed your teaser.
Yeah.
The Jonathan Taylor jailbreak 67-yard touchdown run cost you that teaser because you got it in with the Chargers, but the New England leg got you. But they were gonna score. They were going to hold the Colts. They were down 3. It looked like they were going to hold the Colts, force them to punt, maybe force that game into overtime, and you would have been golden, Pony Boy.
That was exactly how I had planned it out. Unfortunately, Jonathan Taylor had other plans.
Yes, he did, and I liked how he mean mugged Jarius Jackson on the way to the end zone. So you went 3-2, a very good week. It put you over 500 for the season after many long fought weeks. You are currently 38, 37-1 on total bet. So you're having a nice little run. You were pretty stuck there for a while.
I know.
No one has to remind you. So I'll review my bets last week. I went 4-1. The last game of Monday night cost me Minnesota and Chicago. I had it over 44. Minnesota has just been a dead nut over team all season. And for whatever reason, Kirk Cousins threw 84 yards, couple of touchdowns, just a very pedestrian game. But they got the W, but I didn't get the over. So that was my one loss. I also had New Orleans plus the 11. That was one of my 4 wins. I had a teaser with Cincinnati paired with the Los Angeles Chargers. That got there for me. I had another teaser. I had Pittsburgh and Houston. I had Pittsburgh teased up to +8, and I had Houston teased up to +9. Didn't matter. Both those teams won outright. And then my final bet of the week, as I teased Cleveland up to +8, and I teased Philly down to +1. Got there all the way around. Teasers were very good to me last week. I went 4-1 on the season, Dr. Kyle. A very respectable 40 wins, 32 losses, and 1 tie. So combined on the season, you and I are 78, 69, nice, and 2 on our bets, and a combined 19-11 on big bets. So not too bad. We got 3 regular season weeks left to go. Then we'll be rocking the playoffs. But I'm ready to get into some week 16 action. What do you think?
Let's roll.
Let's roll. So as crazy as this sounds, we literally had football Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday. They gave us a break on Wednesday so Dr. Kyle and I could get this podcast put together. Tomorrow, we'll have the 49ers going to Tennessee Thursday night. The Tennessee Titans getting 3 and a hook at home, total of 44. I had nothing on the game. You had a little lean action.
I just got to lean here. Yeah. Yeah. San Francisco, like, yeah, they're like the hot, sexy team right now. So look, I feel like it's going to happen at some point. I hope it happens this week because I think Tennessee at home, 3 in the hook. I feel like that short turnaround to play on Thursday night is getting. It's like it's squeezing the traveling team more and more. So San Francisco has got to travel more or less across the country for a Thursday night game, laying 3.5. Tennessee is coming off of an in-conference loss. I feel like they know they need this. This is a big win for them if they can shake that loss off. San Francisco's on the heater, and I think that maybe they'll be celebrating a little bit too much after the win against Atlanta last week. So Tennessee getting 3.5 at home is a lean.
Yeah, as a Colts fan, I'm rooting firmly against Tennessee. I'm rooting big time for San Francisco. That would help my Colts out a lot. I don't want to butcher the stat. I just remember this much about the trend that teams that have to travel more than 800 miles on Thursday night football are horrible against the spread. I don't remember the exact numbers against the spread. That was some research and work done by the RJ Bell and his crew. But I just know that the team that has the big travel on Thursday night has, at least against the spread, has a tough
Mhm.
time of it. So I didn't have anything on the game. Christmas Day, the Cleveland Browns going to Green Bay. They should get Baker Mayfield back and some other players. Green Bay currently 7.5 and total of 45. I'm going to let you go first.
Yeah, I mean, we're going to talk about a bunch of these games coming up pretty quickly. This is just Green Bay, Green Bay at home. I'm just going to tease it down to 1.5. Just teasing through the key numbers of 7, 6.5, 6, 3.5, 3, 2.5, getting down to 1.5.
Yeah, I totally dig it. I am also, and you're teasing them with, it looks like
Yes,
you're teasing them with who?
Baltimore,
The
Baltimore.
Baltimore Ravens to plus 8.5. So from
Yes.
plus 2.5, Baltimore,
Oh,
you're going
sorry.
to,
No. Sorry. I do like Baltimore. I lean Baltimore as a teaser. Well, I like Baltimore straight up. We'll get to that one eventually. But my tease is with Seattle -1. I didn't do a good job on the spreadsheet there.
yeah, you're right. We'll cover that. So you have them with Seattle.
Yep.
So Seattle laying 7 at home. I'll let you go ahead and jump into that.
Yeah. Seattle's coming off a loss. Chicago and Seattle both had sort of those weird rescheduled games. So I don't think either team gets an advantage there. But Chicago, I think they're officially knocked out of the playoffs, and I don't think they have anything to play for there. Seattle's still playing for that seventh spot.
Yeah,
They've
but they're pretty out of it.
I think they're way more motivated at this point, so I'll take them at home, just laying a point against a dumpster fire of an organization right now.
All right, so that was a teaser. I want to recap that for Kyle. His first bet, he's teasing Green Bay down to -1.5, teasing Seattle down to -1. That is a teaser for Dr. Kyle. I'm also going to use Green Bay as a teaser leg, and it is my big bet. I am going to tease Green Bay down from 7.5 down to 1.5, and I'm going to pair them with Buffalo from +2.5 up to +8.5. I don't want to say Indy exposed Mac Jones, but they were a slip of, that was the win game. I started to confuse the Buffalo Tennessee game versus the Buffalo New England game. I just don't
Mm.
see Buffalo getting beat by 8. I see Buffalo being highly motivated to come in and win this game outright, but I think it makes the perfect teaser. I'm getting more than a touchdown, even on the road in New England. So I'm going Buffalo +8.5. That's a teaser with Green Bay teased down to -1.5. The Saturday night game, and the game that will all be nuzzled around the TV on a Christmas evening. The kids are off playing with toys or whatever's going on. And my Indianapolis Colts are going to Arizona. They are currently getting 1 point, depends on where you get your action. We get ours at betus.com, and you can too if you go to betus.com and use promo code Memphis. But I am going to tease the Colts from +1 up to +7. I know normally the traditional Wong teaser would you want to be on the right side of 7.5, but that's okay. I'm going to tease Indy up to +7, and I'm going to pair them with Minnesota. I'm going to tease Minnesota up to +8.5. So they're currently getting 2.5 at home from the Rams. Look, Minnesota is one of the better teams that you're going to see for a record of 7-7. You know, they keep every game close. Playing a good team, keep it close. Playing a bad team, keep it close. So I don't see the Rams, who just played on Tuesday, having to travel again, a huge travel spot from Tuesday to Sunday. And I don't see him getting a ton of margin against Minnesota. Minnesota has more to play for in this game. So for me, teasing Minnesota up to +8.5, Colts up to +7. That is my second bet. We're going to move to Sunday. The first game is Buffalo at New England. New England laying 2.5, total of 43.5. That was a teaser for me. And you have a lean?
Yeah, I lean. I'd tease Bills to 8.5 and tease the raisins, tease the Ravens to 8.5 as well. That would be. I'll do that one. I could have put that as a like. I just didn't want to have all teasers we talk about
6.
as likes. Yeah.
Give them the best action, man. Give them the best action possible. All right, Baltimore going to Cincinnati. This is for the division, in my opinion. I think the team that wins this game will win the division. And here's why. Baltimore, I believe Baltimore plays Pittsburgh the last week of the year, if I do remember that correctly. And that means Cincinnati's going to play Cleveland. And by the time Cleveland gets to Cincinnati, they could be playing for nothing. If Cleveland loses this week, they're all but basically out of the playoff race. Miami's going to be in the mix, the Colts, the Chargers, the Bills, just a lot of teams, and been a bad spot for Cleveland. But anyway, this is basically for the division. This is kind of like a win and you're in. This is like a mini playoff game. So not a huge weather spot. The weather this weekend is going to be pretty decent in Cincinnati. We're talking like mid-40s. So it's not going to be super cold. I'm going over 45.5. And I love this number all the way up to 49.5 if Lamar plays. But we've seen Tyler Huntley play well. So that's going to be my my third bet of the weekend, over 45. You've got this as a bet and as a teaser?
Yes, I like it at 2.5. It's close to being my big bet. I just think this is the most motivated we're going to see Baltimore all season, especially coming off of that loss against Green Bay. Cincinnati, they were my big bet last week. I just didn't think Denver was that good, but they struggled with Denver until Teddy Bridgewater went out. So I'm gonna get Baltimore, getting 2.5, motivated on the road against Cincinnati, who bullied them the last time around at home in Baltimore.
Definitely a revenge spot. All right. Tampa Bay going to Carolina. The number is -10.5. So Tampa Bay, a 10.5 point road favorite, total of 44. You lean to the Panthers.
Yeah, this is just a really big number for the Bucks.
They
I'm sure
lost
this is
three
like,
offensive weapons. They
yeah,
lost Fournette, Godwin, and Evans. They also lost Levante David on the defensive side of the ball. I don't think I hate the under in this game.
I don't hate
It,
the under either. That's probably a correlated
I'm going to put the
bet
lean.
here.
I'm going to lean. You're leaning to the dog. You talk about the dog. I'm going to lean to the under.
I mean, it's a divisional game. You know, Cam's very hit or miss. That's why I don't love this. You don't know what you're going to get with him. But yeah,
You will
we've
see
seen,
Sam Darnold, though. You will see Sam Darnold this weekend per coach Matt Rule. Not to be confused
hopefully
with Ja Rule.
hanging out on the bench. No, that's probably how this game would get out of hand, is a defensive touchdown from Tampa Bay or two. But we've seen Tom Brady, when he's got all his weapons and he's got Gronk and a couple of outlets, it's smooth sailing. But the second one or two of those pieces are missing, it's he just doesn't have that third read every play that he's probably leaning on. Like he's a veteran quarterback who goes through his reads very quickly. So when you have three studs, you're golden. But when it's he's got Gronk and AB, and it's going to be Tyler Johnson and Scotty Miller and Rashad Perryman and maybe OJ Howard and then Rojo. No Fournette. Like they've leaned on Fournette since the playoffs last year. So just 10.5 feels like a gigantic number, and it's on the road. Like they don't play as well on the road as they do at home.
I would agree. So I'm going to lean the under in this game. I think if you're Tampa Bay, being on the road, coming off of a game where you just got crushed at home by a fellow division rival, you're not trying to get margin. You're just trying to get the hell out of there. You want to get a W. You want to go and get as healthy as you can going into the next game. And speaking of the next game, it is the Los Angeles Chargers going to Houston. They're laying double digits as well. They're laying 10 with a total of 45.5. Now you have a bet on this one, and so do I.
Yeah, I got Chargers first half. Looking at the recent trends of first half scoring, Chargers in the last 3 games score the most points in the first half, averaging 20.7 points per half. Houston is averaging 11 points per game. I know you just can't lean on the math there, but I like what I've seen from the Chargers offense lately. So I think that's where they get their margin.
I don't hate it. Now I am going to go over 45.5. Davis Mills has looked more than serviceable over the last handful of weeks, and the Chargers aren't exactly not giving up points. The Chargers have given up the 5th most points in the league. They've given up 370 points, only 2 less than the Houston Texans, who have given up 377. And even though this Houston offense is a patchwork mishmash of pieces, they've looked efficient and they're at home. And the one thing we know about the Chargers is they can score. So 45 actually feels a little low. So I am going to go over 45.5. And let's go to an ugly. Go ahead.
Wait,
You're giving me the fickle finger of fate.
No, and this is I'm going to tease both the episode with Jerry that released this morning and a future episode. So if you guys didn't know who Davis Mills was, really well coming into the season. I know you guys are going to be gearing up to talk on Tuesday nights for the Wednesday release about rookies coming up. I did my podcast with I forget who now last year, but we
Dallas?
talked. Yeah. Sorry, Dallas. We talked about last year. We did talk about some of the better prospects who had injury histories in college, and Davis Mills was one of the top 5 guys we talked about. He was a stud coming out of high school, and then dealt with a couple of knee surgeries that I think he ended up in Stanford, and then was injured again in Stanford. So just got pushed down. So if you listen to that, maybe he was somebody to stash, and maybe also should be stashing somebody like Brevin Jordan, who's been showing up in Houston as well, who is somebody that was a freak athlete and also dealt with injuries we talked about. But this is me teasing that at some point, probably in the next couple months, I'll hop on either with Memphis and Jerry to talk about some of those rookies with an injury history, or Dallas again. And you don't want to miss it.
Once a week with you is plenty, pal. If you're talking rookies and injuries, you're going to be talking with Dallas. But if you just go by pure QBR, which is a number that does factor in rushing stats, which makes it a little bit more of a level playing field, Davis Mills has played not quite as many snaps as Justin Fields. Davis Mills has played 358 snaps. Fields has played 397. Davis Mills has the higher QBR than Justin Fields on the season. And their EPA, their expected points, per average, the EP, I mean, they're not that different, man. So I'm not saying that one's the same as the other. I'm merely saying that Davis Mills has been playing some good football, just like Justin Fields has been playing some better football. So that's
Correct.
why I like this over. I like 45.5. I think this is kind of a high scoring affair, and it'll be one of the funner games
Hell
games
yeah.
to watch this week. So this next game will not be fun. This is the old corner of the room game. It's going to be the Jacksonville Jaguars going to the New York Football Jets. It's a pick 'em, and it's 42.5 on the total. I'm going to take the Jaguars in the pick 'em. And I know the Jets have been playing a little bit better, but they've got like 13 cases of COVID currently right now, including head coach Robert Saleh. So the Jets have the worst run defense in the NFL, and I think this is a big get right game for James Robinson coming off of a decent game last week against the Houston Texans. So I'm going to go pick. I'm going to take Jacksonville in a pick 'em, and I hate to, but I mean, this is where you can make money because no one likes watching ugly football, but I will. I will. Anything on this game before we move on to the next one?
No, that's the best way to enjoy watching ugly football is put a little money on it.
All right. Detroit coming off of the big win against the Arizona Cardinals, going to Atlanta. Atlanta laying 6, 42.5 total. I have nothing on the game. I do have a lean. I lean to the over if Golf plays. Golf could be in COVID protocol. If that's the case, I would have nothing on the game, but I would lean over if Golf plays. Thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, I would love to back Detroit again, but just Atlanta coming off of a loss, Detroit coming off of that big win that they might still be celebrating. I don't want to touch it.
Yeah, I would agree. The New York Giants, probably with Jake Fromm and or the neck Mike Glennon going on the road to Philadelphia. Philadelphia laying 3.5, total 42. Big line move in this game. Philadelphia has put their third offensive lineman on the COVID protocol. I think that has a lot to do with it. And usually when
Mhm.
these teams have a mini outbreak like this, usually more names continue to pop up. So the good thing is that if a player's vaccinated and asymptomatic, they only need one negative test before a Sunday game. So if you like Philly, I could see where maybe you'd want to bet them now because you're getting value. But remember, the Giants beat this team with Glennon, I believe, last time. I don't think
Yeah, not
Daniel Jones
not
was the
that long
quarterback.
ago.
It was like
No,
2 weeks ago.
it feels. I think that was that the week that Jalen Hurts injured his ankle. So maybe it was four weeks ago now, but still not that long ago.
It wasn't that long ago. I'm going to pull that up while we talk about the next game. I had a teaser on the Rams going to. Now, remember, this is on short days. It's not quite the same number of days of rest using the RJ Bell Dream Preview stat, where teams on Thursday night, 4 days rest, traveling more than 800 miles. But it's not that far off. LA to Minnesota on 5 days rest. And that's why I teased Minnesota up to +8. Did you have anything on that game?
I like the Rams being on the right side of the three there at 2.5.
And just for the record, it was, I guess technically it was 4 weeks ago. Yeah, 4 weeks ago, the Giants played the Eagles. That was at Giants, and the score of that game was 7-13. So even though the offense in New York's speculative right now with Jake Fromm and Mike Glennon, that defense held Jalen Hurts. He was the quarterback in that game to 13 points, which explains the under being 42. So there you go. Afternoon games, Chicago going on the road to Seattle, laying 7, total of 43.5. And that was one half of your teaser. You're
Yep.
teasing Seattle down to 1. You're pairing it with Green Bay down to 1.5. Denver at the Raiders, pick 'em 41.5. I had nothing. What do you have?
I got nothing here. I was trying to talk myself into Denver here, but I can't.
It's one of those things. I like the total of 41.5 is what is intriguing.
Mm.
We've seen Denver put up big points with Drew Lock because that dude puts up YOLO balls.
And
And
that's
YOLO
good
ball
for the total for
and
either
that's
side.
right. And
Yeah,
that's right. So you know what? I'm gonna go sixth
I like
bet.
that.
I'm gonna
I
go
like that.
sixth bet. I'm gonna go over the 41.5.
I'm with you on this one, Memphis.
You're gonna go with me. So we're gonna add a sixth bet. We're both going over 41.5, thanks to the YOLO action of one Drew Lock.
And it's
Pittsburgh,
in Vegas indoors, so you gotta love that too.
yeah, fast track. Pittsburgh going to Kansas City. This game was as high as 10.5, currently sitting at 7.5. And I think this has a lot to do with Travis Kelce, Tyreek Hill, and a lot of the skill position guys for the Kansas City Chiefs. I lean to Pittsburgh. You have your big bet on this one.
Yeah, I got my big bet on Pittsburgh. I think we're back in that territory where people are thinking Kansas City Chiefs are just steamrolling teams again. But I think we've just seen them put up. Look, a couple weeks ago, one of my bets was over the Chiefs team total against the Raiders. what do we know about what the my handicap for that game was that the Chiefs put up at least 27 points against the Raiders, like 5 out of the 6 last times they played them. And then they sort of backdoored, scored a lot of points against the Chargers last week on Thursday night. We know that Chargers defense is terrible. This Steelers team has been on the underside of a lot of totals. 7.5. Like, I know we think like Big Ben is dust right now, but I don't think Mike Tomlin's dust, and I don't think that defense is dust. So with when you first posted this today, when it was 10, I was all over it. I still like it at 7.5. I think this is like sort of a sneaky bad spot for the Chiefs right now, especially with all the COVID stuff going on. So big bet, Pittsburgh plus 7.5.
All right, Sunday night football. The football team going to Dallas. Dallas laying 10, total of 47.5. You had nothing on the game. I lean under. That's exactly what these two teams scored last time. I think it comes down to how much Washington gets of their defense back, and that offense looks rough in Washington.
That was the total last game, and if you remember, there were a lot
it was
of
40.
turnovers.
It was 48.5, but close enough.
Oh, the total. Well, what was the total score? Like that was
47. It was. Okay. I think it was because I barely got there because Dallas. That was one of my bets last time they played, and Dallas almost let them in the back door.
Yeah, well, a lot of short fields in that game with some crazy turnovers there. So you think if they get on the other side of the regression curve of turnovers this week, that is probably even lower scoring. So I like that there.
Not the worst ever. And then the final game, Monday, final game for now. We'll see how COVID 2020-21 keeps rocking the NFL. I will tell you that if you're a fantasy football player, be very scared of week 17. As these players have, especially the teams that are at home right now, because the road teams that are traveling, you don't have to worry about family coming into town because the players are traveling. But the teams that are home this week, you could see some hella outbreaks next week. So some of those look aheads, if you see a look ahead line on some of these teams that are going on the road that maybe play at home next week, may not be a bad thing to look at earlier. So you have a bet, Miami going to New Orleans laying 3 at home to a white hot Miami team. I think they've won 6 of their last 7. And total on the game is 39. That number has moved a little bit because you have it under 40.5.
Yeah, that's what it was earlier when we did this. I'm going to stick with the under, even though it's a worse number at 39. Look, Sean Payton's got a pretty clear strategy with the Taysom Hill offense and with the just mostly weaponless outside of Alvin Kamara offense, and that is to play like this Belichickian style chess football. And on the other side of the gridiron, we have Brian Flores, who is a Belichickian style football coach. I feel like this is one of those games where I still don't think the Dolphins fully trust Tua, and they're going to try and shelter him and go with a very conservative game plan. They leaned on Duke Johnson, throwback, and all of a sudden he's fantasy relevant again. He's probably going to be like, I don't know what to do with that backfield anyway. But I'm just saying, it just feels like one of those games where we're going to see a lot of 3 and outs. We're going to see it very run heavy on both sides, and teams taking the points when they can get them. You get inside the red zone, it's going to be probably maybe one shot to the end zone, but then conservative and take the 3 points and get out. So under in the Monday night game.
All right. Well, there's the slate. Let's recap Dr. Kyle's bets first. We'll recap mine second. So he has one teaser. He is teasing Green Bay down to 1.5, teasing Seattle down to 1. He has taken Baltimore plus the 2.5, and he also considers that a good teaser leg. So he also has the Chargers first half. Do you have a number on that for these fine people?
Come back to me.
All right. He has the Chargers first half. I don't know if that means under or over. I'm assuming over. You're an over kind of guy.
Chargers first half means Chargers -6 in the first half.
Okay, so you want Chargers -6 in the first half.
Yep.
You have the Rams -2.5. You're over 41.5 with the Raiders. Your big bet is Pittsburgh taking the 7.5 at Kansas City. Yep. And you're going under 39 Miami and New Orleans. It's a lot of bets. You're feeling it. It's a heat check.
It's a heat. When you're on a heater, you can't stop.
It's a heat check week for Dr. Kyle. All right, I have got a teaser for you. I'm teasing Green Bay down to 1.5, and I'm teasing them with Buffalo up to 8.5. My second teaser is the Colts from +1 up to +7, teased with Minnesota up to +8.5 from 2.5. I'm going over in the Baltimore-Cincinnati game. I'm going over in the Chargers-Houston game. I'm going over in the Broncos-Raiders game. And I'm taking Jacksonville in a pick 'em to stick 'em and try to stay hot, Dr. Kyle. White hot. 4 winning weeks in a row, buddy. We needed it.
We did. Hopefully the people stuck around long enough. And really, that's the name of this game because I've said, RJ put it succinctly last week on the Dream Preview, and I'm going to say it in my version that I've said in the past. The NFL it's a bunch of small samples of small samples, and so you just got to keep going because like you're going to hit your streaky bad patches, and if you just stop there, you're never going to come afloat again. And I think we're coming afloat the past couple weeks, and well, you especially, but I'm bringing up the rear nicely now too.
Hey, trust the process is what we were told in Philadelphia a few years ago. Well, listen, I'm going to give you my Thursday night prop of the week. I'm going to go with my name is Jeff Wilson Jr. over 6.5 receiving yards. A number that I think he has more than the capability of hitting. Tennessee is, they're like in the middle of the pack. They're like 12, 13, 14, 15, somewhere in that, in receptions and yards given up to the running back position. And with no Elijah Mitchell, it feels like he's only got to get one to get this number. So I'm going to go Jeff Wilson over 6.5 receiving yards. His number's actually lower than Kyle Juszczyk. So we'll let that roll. But I want to thank my co-host for actually being in studio, helping me out, helping me make things happen here at the Fabulous Big Bet. But Dr. Kyle, let's get out of here and remind these people that money won is twice as sweet as money earned. Check with me on Sunday. I'll be putting more props out via live on YouTube. So you got to subscribe, notifications turned on, and you won't miss the props on Sunday morning. Dr. Kyle, Merry Christmas, my friend.
And Happy New Year.
And a Happy New Year, you filthy animals. Have a great one, guys. Be careful out there.